Welcome to the Swine Time podcast here at Pipestone. I'm your host, Dr. Spencer Wayne. I'm one of the staff veterinarians here. I'm also one of the owners of Pipestone Holdings, and I have the great pleasure of interviewing interesting people, many times from within our organization, sometimes outside of our organization. And today I have a special guest. All of our guests are special. I say special guest, but our guest is Jake Geisler, and also special guest host.
Special guest host.
Yeah, Hayden Kerkaert. So Hayden and I actually... Hayden is like the brain that I don't have for these questions because he'll know the topic better. So I can turn it over to Hayden. Hayden, that's too easy for me to answer. I'll let Hayden answer that one. But Hayden will be helping out. But why don't you introduce yourself, Jake, and tell us who you are.
Thank you, Spencer. Yeah, Jake Geisler. I live in Ames, Iowa. Grew up just south of Fort Dodge on a family farm, and tied into that still a little bit, and involved in corn and soybean production, and have some contract barns as well. So been in the business for quite a while. Have a family, then my beautiful wife, Delisa, and our 3 kids that are always keeping us busy. So excited to be here today and talk about the last couple of years I've been with Pipestone and what we can do going forward.
Okay.
And Spencer, for clarification, he's also known as Iowa Jake.
Jake,
we got too many Jakes running around. Iowa Jake. Jake. If you got to clarify things, Iowa Jake.
All right. Thank you, Hayden. I appreciate that. I'm glad you said your wife is beautiful. That's something I would forget if I was describing my wife, and I would be in trouble for it later. So good.
Very good.
All right. Did you say what your position was? I don't know if you got a title or what. How would you?
Commodity manager.
Commodity manager. You might have said it. I missed it. Okay. Commodity manager. And you're here to talk to us about some interesting things. We talked before the podcast recording now about some stuff you wanted to cover. And I'd say, why don't you start where you want to start?
You bet. Yes, I'm part of the Feed Partners team here within Pipestone. And again, that's a part of a group that helps our nutrition team and facilitates ingredients and nutrition programs for our customers. My specific role within the company is to focus on our commodity ingredients. Think about the big ones that we have with corn, soybeans, distillers, bakery byproducts, those larger products that we're trying to help lower the cost of for our producers. And we're doing that in a couple different ways here within the company.
How long has Feed Partners been a thing?
Yeah, I was going to say we should probably take a quick step back and just probably explain Feed Partners real briefly. But Feed Partners is, I want to say, and Amber, if I say the wrong year, please don't be mad. But I believe it was like 2017, 2018 is when it was founded. Amber Pugh started that division really with just amino acids, as we saw a huge need there and a wide variety of amino acid pricing across a lot of people. And we knew there couldn't be that big of a range. And she started that. Today, I want to say we're at like 10 million pigs roughly, 12 million pigs roughly. If you were to bring it back on a total consumption of these amino acids is what we did. And then about 3 years ago, we said, hey, if we can do this here, why can't we do this with soybean meal and distillers? Mm-hmm. We see this as another possible opportunity. And that's when Iowa Jake came into the picture. You gotta make sure we clarify that. But Iowa Jake came into the picture and started that process with all the commodities he's already listed. So again, ultimately, Feed Partners is just creating a larger buying group to help producers get the lowest cost product out there, because we know you got to get every penny to be profitable.
Right,
for sure.
And it's essentially every ingredient, but just whole corn. It sounds like soybean meal, distillers, and then everything else you've mentioned.
There's a lot of opportunities out there, and we're exploring all of them.
Okay. All right. Anything you want to talk about more on just the purchasing of it, as far as anything you do different than others that have tried group buying or like buying groups for things? Because you have the advantage of size. Other people have tried that. What do you do special that might be something you'd showcase?
Again, I think it's having the right team with the right experience. We've got a great staff within our group. Lori Wood is our commodity assistant. She's done a great job with her past history in the business, in the feed business, knowing what to do and knowing how to interact with our customers. I just think our customer service, our understanding of their needs is at a level that is higher than what other folks have done that have tried this before. And we're seeing great success in that, and hope to continue that.
Okay, customer service. One of the things you mentioned before was some of the quality control testing you guys do. I don't know if that's something you can describe a little bit, because people buy soybean meal and they just buy soybean meal, 46, 48, whatever it is. How do you handle that?
Yeah, we're in a great position again with where we sit. We have a great view buying from multiple plants. As we go throughout the year, we see quality change throughout the season based on the bean quality, based on the weather situations. As a buyer of bean meal specifically, we have the opportunity through our process to receive samples from those processors. So they're sending us truck by truck samples into our feed mill here feed lab here in Pipestone. We get to analyze those on an NIR machine, which reads moisture, protein, and fiber, and we get to be able to see that load by load what they're getting, what the customer gets. And
you say load by load, literally truckload by truckload,
correct.
not a batch or some kind of a daily run.
So again, back to these rules, and there's some trading rules within this National Oilseed Processors Association that allow us to monitor those loads. We get to check those to see what did the processor guarantee us. So each processor guarantees a certain level of protein, maybe it's 46%, certain level of moisture, a certain level of fiber. If those individual characteristics are out of spec, we have the ability to go back and claim on that. It's called a claim, recover some money, and pass that back to the producer. And that's what we've been doing here for about the last year and a half, have built that up, getting a good view throughout the Midwest of where these plants are, what they're producing, and what their quality is on a day-to-day basis.
And I think there's something to say to bring it on a full picture value here. Since Jake started, we've been building this database on the nutrition front where now if I know a producer is buying from plant ABC, we can tell them, hey, this plant is better for this, and we can help bring a value to that, whether it's on pig performance or on a claiming ton side or any of these values where, I only went to plant A because it's 5 miles away. Well, in reality, the biggest bang for your buck might be plant C, 45 miles away, even after you've paid for that transport and logistics side. So
we have some unique examples of that. Some two plants, one in central Iowa, one in central Illinois, and some customers in that northern Illinois area. We see between those two plants almost a 5% spread in protein quality. And so that customer can decide where should we go, and we can talk to Hayden and the nutrition team to say, we can formulate for this and capture that value and provide that customer a better outcome all the way around.
Yeah. So let's say I'm a farmer just out in the countryside. I make my own feed. I got a on-farm mill. You're using you. What's a common value of the claim? Like, okay, because a lot of people don't even know that they might have been getting something less protein percentage than they thought they were, and it was formulated. There was a penalty to that. The pigs didn't grow as well, or it was something. But how much is that value?
We are seeing, again, it's very plant specific. We have some plants that are great at producing their product right on the money. We have some other plants that are kind of all over the board and really struggle with having consistent runs. And so on average throughout our system, we are seeing about $1.50 to $2 a ton on all tons purchased. Okay, because not every ton is claimed on, but on all tons purchased, we're saving about $1.50 to $2 a ton for that producer.
On the claim.
Yeah, on the claim alone.
And that's something a lot of farmers probably aren't aware of.
Yeah, and that's not even taking into account the savings by group buying. That's just on the quality alone. And it doesn't even account for if Hayden finds a plant that has higher quality and we now formulate for that where we weren't before. Mm-hmm. If we are formulating and getting an extra 1% of protein is almost $5 a ton.
Okay.
So some big numbers.
What is the minimum maximum protein test results you get when you do tests for these claims? Is it, how big of a spread is that?
So most of the plants that we deal with are guaranteeing a spec of about 46%, okay, on their protein level. We're seeing some down in that 44. We have that really high quality plant that produces about a 50% protein on a regular basis. So about a 6 to 7% spread.
Okay. Yeah. Is the testing and the claim process just soybean meal, or is it also distillers has their own equivalent process or not?
So today the claiming and recouping those funds, that's only on the soybean meal. We still are able to take samples from our plants or from our farmers and run them through our feed lab here in Pipestone and say distillers, we want to evaluate 2 different locations. We can give them those same nutritional specs off that NIR. And allow them to make those same type of decisions. However, there isn't a claiming process on that today. Yeah.
Is there a claim process on anything else?
I relate back to any of farmers selling corn or soybeans that are taking it in with a higher moisture or low test weight. Those same kind of discount schedules exist. Yeah. So it's that same mindset, only we have that as the buyer for soybean meal.
Okay. Yeah. I only think of soybean meal, but any other oilseed meals that you work with at all?
That's the main driver for us. Okay. Again, we do see some other products that we buy that we can run through there and say, hey, we're way out of line on this, and evaluate that to make sure that we know what we're getting.
Okay. So the producer that might not be even aware of that captures the value in the form of a claim. Like, I got something less than they promised me, I at least get compensated for
sure.
That.
Yep.
Okay, great. Other magic stuff you guys do. You were keyed up on customer service a while ago, and part of that would be there's a few things that probably go into that.
Sure. One of the biggest things that we offer for our customers is some logistics support. As we know, throughout the last 4 to 5 years, trucking has been challenging to say the least. Finding people to haul for us, finding people to keep in the trucks, to keep them moving. We have built a network over the years. I've got a network that we've brought to Pipestone to help facilitate feed ingredient delivery to our customers. And so let's say we have a farmer that is struggling to get material delivered to their plant on a regular basis. They can contact us. We can line them up with a truck. We do this routinely today and have that truck deliver whatever product it is, soybean meal, distillers, dye-cal, whatever they might need to their plant, to their feed mill on site, and help them out and relieve some of their time constraints that they have today.
Yeah, I mean, time's one of the biggest assets you have, right? And if I can get the guy that's supposed to be with the pigs in the barn in front of those pigs, or if he's got to be in the field planting and he's not as rushed to do other things, and Jake can go take care of that responsibility, I think that's a huge value today that just isn't recognized in a lot of situations.
We kind of like to put it all together, and I'll give an example. We have a customer that was in Southern Illinois. He was struggling with a plant that was just down the road from him, from getting quality, getting good timing to pick it up. Their hours were limited, and he wasn't getting a good buy because he was an individual customer. He came to us and said, "Hey, can you guys help me?" And we were able to pool him with our other customers, get him a lower price, a higher quality product from a plant down the road, and line up the trucking for him so he can do other things with his time, be more valuable in his day-to-day activities, and get that to him, all for a lower cost, better product at his mill.
Okay. On the topic of group buying, how much muscle do you need to get the respect in when you go to buy?
For sure.
Now I'm asking, like, how many producers do you work with now? How big is that group? Or maybe it's not appropriate to ask that, so I'll leave it to you to answer how you want.
We're building this, right? It's I've been here for about 2 years. We've spent the last 18 months building this slowly. I think we've got some leverage. We've got some people's attention. And again, being where we are as Pipestone in the industry, people are watching us and want to do business with us. We make it easier for the processor and the distiller's plant as well, because they're only having to deal with one person. They don't have to worry about chasing down every little phone call. And so there's some mutual benefit there. And I think we're seeing that. I obviously would like to see that grow further. And I think we've got more power as a bigger group. And so that's what we're working on, is expanding that reach.
Okay. And so I mentioned it earlier. I said, say I'm a farmer with my own feed mill. Is that your classic customer out there? Is somebody with an on-farm feed mill, or who are you generally working with when you work with the farmers you're talking about?
For sure. I think that's the main customer, and I feel like we give the best value in that case. Again, back to all the time constraints, the group buying, the quality. A lot of that isn't happening today. And so you look at that customer and say, man, that's a home run. We do have some other facilities and mills that we work with where we have customers buying product in. We can work with those folks as well, and we're monitoring pricing that we're getting for those folks to make sure that what they are paying is market-based and what they agree upon. And so there's a wide selection of customers that we can hit.
Okay. All right. You also mentioned something about soybean meal basis and managing basis. But this is where I'm going to say Hayden knows more about that, and I'll turn it over to Hayden, because on the commodity side and marketing side, why don't you guys talk about how you manage basis and what the ins and outs are for that?
Yeah, in all honesty, I thought I knew what basis was till I met Jake Geisler. So that's how that went, because I think Jake really opened our team as a whole to what the actual basis is and what that can do and what kind of level that helps. So
I can explain that a little bit further. And so we've got the futures price, which is what is trading at Chicago, right? We've got what the cash price is what our customers are paying. The difference is that basis value, okay? And it can be negative or positive. And I kind of relate it to a gas pedal. If someone needs grain, if it's corn, or if they need meal and there's not much out there, basis has to rise above Chicago's price to slow down buying, okay? And so that would create a positive basis and make product more expensive, keeping a lid on the market. If there's plenty of product, it's not moving, we have rivers that are low, we can't export things, the customers aren't buying, there's nowhere for that product to go. The only way to move it is to widen that basis and make it cheaper, okay? And so today's world, we're buying that product for our customers and helping them do this. We, specifically to soybean meal, we have this past year locked in our basis for the entire 12-month period, okay? It's called clocking our basis. And we've saw a huge advantage to that. About 8 out of 10 years, that's a great thing to do, is to buy it in the late summer or fall. Today, our customers on the basis side are seeing about a $30 a ton savings to that, which equates almost to $2 per pig, because they locked that in with us in the fall. And so, again, I think as we continue down that road, we want to have that discussion with with our customers, I think it's a great thing to be talking about on a regular basis and where that's going, because it can be a true driver for their profitability.
Okay. Hey, this is a dumb question too. This may get edited out later, but who does that get locked in with when you say a locked in basis? Is that with an individual plant providing it? Is that something on
Correct.
the CME, or how do
on
you
the
do
basis side, it's an individual plant. That's the physical side that we're doing. Our customers, again, we can do that. They can choose whenever they want to price their futures, so they're still open there. We're not restricting them to that. But that basis side, that's where we can help out, I think, immensely in that early fall period to say, hey, we feel like it's a good time to lock it in. Let's do it, and leverage all these things we're talking about with the quality of the basis, the group buying, to get that value for them.
But who's it actually? Who holds that basis or agreement?
We are buying it from the processor.
The processor directly.
Yep.
Okay, interesting.
And they're looking at it from their little world of saying, hey, I've got these beans to crush, and I need to sell oil, I need to sell meal. I can make this amount of money if I lock this all in today. And so he's looking at his profitability and saying, yep, this looks good. Let's lock it in. I'll sell the basis to Jake, and it looks great, and we'll be happy with where we're at.
Okay. Well, Hayden, I'm glad he came to teach you some things today.
It's always a learning curve. Learning curve in the room. So
For sure.
Anything else you wanted to cover, Jake?
No, again, I think we're poised well with where we're at. We're positioned well, have had some good success, and we're looking to, again, work and help support other people within the organization.
Okay. So to our viewers and listeners out there, I'd say if you have questions on this, whether just like the concepts we're talking about or even a specific question for Jake, talk to somebody you know at Pipestone. Get a hold of me, and I'll hand you off to Jake or Hayden. But these are things that will probably generate some thought as you're driving down the road or in tractor cab, just thinking about it. If you got questions, just please reach out and call, because everything you just covered here, I had no idea was even going on. So as a farmer, you probably know more than me for sure, but you might have some specific questions. So I'd say reach out to your Pipestone contact, and we'll get in touch with Jake.
For sure.
All right, Jake, thank you for being here today. Great guest, probably our best guest ever.
Ouch.
Appreciate that. Give us some.
That was pretty directed, I feel like, but all right.
Yeah. Thank you, Hayden, for being here as well. Thank you to our viewers and listeners out there. Please join us again next time for the Swine Time podcast here at Pipestone. The Swine Time podcast was created for the pork industry and individual pork producers around the country. Hosted by me, Dr. Spencer Wayne with Pipestone Veterinary Services. The podcast contains pork industry news, advancements in animal care, and how to enhance your productivity. Find the Swine Time podcast at www.pipestone.com or on your favorite listening platform.